Hi everyone, welcome back to Plum Mashable. So I am catching up slowly with the Memorydexweekly challenge. This is week 25 summertime, so let's go ahead and jump in. Alright, so I'm still catching up with my Memorydexweekly and I'm up to week 25, which means I've actually gone back in time. And this one's called, I think it's called something like Celebrate Summer or Summer something. And when I think summer, I think picnics. And when I think picnics, I think this cute set from Lawn Fawn. So we're going to use this to make most of the card. So I'm going to start out with just stamping the images that I want. So I want this cute little picnic blanket. I have to think about that word for a minute. And then I'm going to do the mice, a couple of the ants, and then I'll do all the ants and all the food. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do that really quick, and I'll be right back. Stamped out. This is just on normal cardstock. I'm not using Express It, but I did use my Memento ink. But I'm going to use my Kmart watercolour pens today, just for something different. Because I know I'm generally a Copic girl, but I want to give this a shot. So I'm going to colour all of these in. I'll let you know. Well, you'll be able to tell because there's only one colour of each in here. But I'll just do the picnic blanket with you. So I'm just going to do the sort of red in the corners, and then we'll blend that out. Now you can use either a little paintbrush with water, that works for this, to blend these out, or you can use, whoops, you can make a mess like I just did, or I've got this little blender pen. It's a ZIG Clean Colour Real Brush Marker pen, and it's just the blender. So all I'm doing is just pushing that colour out. Does the same thing with water, because this is just full of water apparently. And you just push the colour out. So it's not going to give you the same saturation that a Copic will, but it will give you a different kind of look, which I like. So I'm going to keep doing this and colour all these images in, and I'll be back. So the picnic blanket's done. Just before you move on to another colour, just have just a bit of scrap paper off to the side and just wipe it clean, and that way you're not going to contaminate the next colour. So far, I've been pretty lucky because these are all really little images. The colour from wherever I've put it down has managed to kind of push along to wherever I need it to. I have a feeling with these little mice, it might not work quite as nicely because they are just that little bit bigger. So I'm just hoping that it will. But if not, I'm going to do, it might need just a little bit. So I'm just going to put a little bit of the brown on my glass mat, and then I can pick it up with the blender pen, just get rid of a little bit of the colour, and then I should be able to match pretty well and push down, so you still get that sort of shade blend thing happening. And if I need to pick up a little bit more, I can just sort of put a little bit more brown into it, so it might be okay. That's just another way to use these markers. If you don't want to put, if you've got like a big image rather than just a little one, you can pick the colour up off a glass mat. If you don't have a glass mat, you can do like a laminated sheet of paper, that works too. Just anything that's sort of a slippery surface is going to work. And I tell you one thing, I'm not very good with staying inside the lines with these watercolours. This is a little harder for me. But they still look cute, and I like the difference. I like the not quite so saturated thing. Alright, now when it comes to if you need another shade of brown, so I've obviously only got the one, but I need a different kind of shade for his tummy. So that's not quite the right colour. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and mix myself up a colour. So I've got the brown here and I've got some yellow. And I'm just going to play with this until I get a colour that I kind of like. And I might not get it. It might be too much. But I feel like that yellow, that's a different kind of colour for his belly. It's not perfect. It's not quite the right colour, but it is a different shade of brown. See how that's got a bit more yellow to it. I'm also just going to do that in his ears, and then I'm going to bring in some pink over the top just so that they look different. And then the really good thing is when you finish, you just wipe the brush off and it goes clear and you can do it again. So do the same thing with the pink. And I'm just going to wipe that off till it's barely on the brush, and then go over the top with a little bit of pink. Probably needs a little bit more than I had on there, but that's alright. There's a little bit of pink in there now, you can sort of see it. I probably should have mixed pink with brown in this for their tummy instead of the colour I did do, but it's just showing you can blend with these pens and come up with your own custom colours. I'm actually going to use that same brown for the sandwich just while I'm here, because I feel that's like sandwich colour. It's just harder to put in the shade when you've mixed the colour. So what I might do in a second is just put a little bit of the brown where I want there to be a bit of shade, a bit of darkness, to see if I can get it to blend out. Yeah, I can. That works. There you go. That sandwich has now got a different shade of brown than the others. I'm going to do that same thing actually. I'm going to keep using this colour to do the picnic basket. So I'm just going to do the darkness where I want that along the checks of the wicker. In the end, I've used every colour except the black, which I think I did pretty well. I actually like the shades. I think I got a good overall kind of thing of it. So I'm going to go ahead and cut these out with the matching dies, and then we'll get started on the actual card. Alright, so I've got all of my little critters cut out. There was one extra which has a die, which I'll see if I need it. If I need it, I'll do it then. Alright, so now I'm going to start making the base for my Memorydexweekly cards. So I'm going to cut a couple of bits to 13 centimetres. Now I've got to remember that centimetres is not the little grids on here. may not be 100% perfect, but it'll be close. And I'm going to cut it, I think I'll cut it to 11 centimeters high. So there's the base of the card, and I can always make it a bit shorter if I want. And then I'm going to use this to cut out a couple of hills. So I want a windy hill for the back. So I'm just making sure that that's got the stitching on the bottom. So because I know this is 13 wide, I know I'm good. So I can cut this to whatever I like. So I'll cut that one out first. Bring the die cutter back in. This is my art workout for the days when I play with the die machine. Okay. So we'll have the sky in the background, hill, and then I'm thinking I may be able to get my second hill out of this same bit of paper. So I'm just going to trim it, masking tape or sticky tape it down just for a second. Just mark on the back there where I want to cut. Doesn't matter if it's not 100% perfect, it's pretty close. And then for the other hill, I want to do that as a flat kind of hill. So the first one was out of my stitched hill sides, and then this one's out of just the simple stitched. Just lining that up. We'll run this one through too. Okay, so we've got 3 parts to this kind of card. I may still work out, may still do something at the top. So it'll run, so you've got the hill at the back. This may need to come shorter, it's a little bit too long. So we're going to have 2 grassy bits and then the sky at the back. So for the sky, I'm going to stick with this watercolour theme because I think it's working. So I'm going to grab out my watercolours. I'm also just going to put that away so it's not quite so much in my way. So I've got myself a little glass of water and a couple of different brushes. So this first one's sort of what I call my mixing brush, which is where I get the colour I want on my mat, and then from there I can play with the wash. So I'm going to do it like a wash, like I did, if you saw my weekly deco I did a couple of weeks ago with the peach. That's sort of what I'm trying to do here. Oops, broke my brush. I'm just trying to find the right colour. Yes, I know that's way too blue. Don't worry, I won't stay with this. So I'm getting out as much dark blue here as I can. This is why I've got my little microfiber here as well. And I'm bringing in some light blue. Mix that together. Nope, still too blue. This is when you bring in the white. I think I did a little bit more white. Yeah, right. When it gets the wash going, it'll be a bit lighter anyway. So I'm just wiping off the blue that's on that white just so I don't what's the word I'm looking for? Contaminate the colour. So then I'm getting my little fan brush and I'm putting water along here first, just one swipe over. I'm not going quite all the way to the bottom, but 3/4 of the way. And then I'm getting a very wet brush again into the blue, and then we're just going to swipe this across to kind of give us that swipey, wispy kind of look. Now that's not quite good enough, that one, so I'm going to do it again. There we go. This is a little bit like the, what's actually, it's exactly like the page we did with the weekly deco. The wetter, to a certain extent, the better, because it helps kind of glide this over. Okay. I don't want it to be full. I like the little streaky bits. So once that's done, I'm going to move that over to the side. We're going to do the same thing with the hills, but we're going to do it with green. Now I've got a bad habit of putting too much watercolour on my mat. I'd rather have too much and not have to mix the colours up twice. That's my personal preference, but you don't have to do that. You can do a little bit less if you need to. It might not be so difficult to get the green, because the green's a little bit lighter. Something I like about grass too is when it's not perfectly kind of all all stuck together. I like a little bit of dark and light scattered through the grass a little bit. Get just a little bit of really dark green as well, just to add in some weirdness. And then we'll do the exact same thing with these two hills. So wash with water. These ones will be a bit harder because I've got just the bit I need. Now I'm just looking at this and going, I don't like the top. It looks a little bit too simple. So I'm still using that same brush. And I'm just adding in a bit of colour at the top, just a bit of darkness. Especially on this bottom hill, just doesn't look quite right. But grass is never perfect, so if you have it a little bit not perfect, I think that's okay. I can do some. I like the way that looks. It kind of looks like grass, so just tapping that out, sort of up a little bit, kind of like it's growing. If that makes sense. I do like the effects you can get with watercolour. Alright, so I'm going to put that off to the side to dry too. I actually might bring in the heat tool and just give these both a blast, just to try and dry them off. Now, this is a little kind of thing I've not thought of in the last couple of weeks, but just whenever you're playing with watercolour, you are inevitably going to warp your paper. There's just nothing you can do about that. So I like to get something heavy. My Misty is a really good thing that works really nicely. And then put my die cut machine on top. And I'm just going to leave that there for probably 5 minutes. And it gives me a chance to get up, walk away, you know, break. But just to flatten it out just a little bit, because it is going to be a little bit warped. And you don't want, as much as you can, you want it to be flat. So I'm just going to leave this here for a couple of minutes and I'll be right back. Alright, so I've given that a couple of minutes. There you go. Just a little bit flatter, not a lot flatter. But it's just going to help kind of give this a little bit, it'll flatten out a little bit easier. Alright, so now it's time to start building the scene up. So I want I think I'll have it all flat. I like playing with foam tape with Memorydex cards, I really do, but at the same time sometimes I think it gives it a bit too much, and especially at the bottom where you've got to put the holes in anyway. I'm also kind of thinking I want to add a bit of a detail to this, just so it's not quite so plain on the top. So I'm just going to add in the stitched hillside, because it won't look like a hill on the top, it'll just look like an edge. So I'll run that through really quick. Sending your watercolours through your die cut machine will also help with a little bit of the page warping and flatten it out, but sometimes I'm worried it's going to add little marks, which is why I don't tend to do it. If you had brand new plates, which I did have brand new plates, but I ruined them. Ruined them in a good way. I think that can help, but anyway. Alright, so I'm going to start putting this together. Just going to use liquid glue for all of, no we won't, we'll use glue tape. Might use liquid glue for some of the critters in a second. So line that up on the bottom. If I need to, I can cut off any excess, but it should line up pretty close. Okay. It's a tinsy tiny little bit, which I'm that pedantic, so we'll fix that. And do the same thing here with the little hill. And the good thing is that gluing it down will help with a bit of the warping. It won't be quite as bad. Now when I'm making Memorydexes, I always get the bottom done first, as in get all the edges that I need, and then I can just go through with one punch. It's just it's not a habit, it's just a personal preference thing. This is going to be hard to get out no matter what I do, but at least these will line up. So I'm just finding the middle. One big punch sometimes. There you go, I got it. I'm always scared I'm going to break it. Haven't done it yet. And one clean through. There we go. All right, let's start putting our critters down on here. So I want to add in a couple of little details. I also want to try and erase some of the boo-boos I made. So I didn't do so well staying inside the lines. But you can just use a little bit of white gel pen just to kind of but put in colour over any of the mistakes that you made. And this is where we will use glue, liquid glue, because it's got a little bit more time to it. Just grab out my glue holder. Okay. A bit of glue. I'm just going to put this one down first, and then I'm going to put them all on, work out where they're going to live. I'm going to put the picnic basket there, just because these are really little. Okay, so the two little mice having a picnic. I'm going to have to do something with the sky, which I didn't think of. So I'm going to have some of the little things being taken away by the ants. So some will be going away from, so the chips are going to be carrying away. Actually, I might put the chips in the basket. Some of the ants are going towards the picnic basket, and some of them are coming away from the picnic basket. So I might do those two holding that, put the cheese in there. So these guys are taking some of these bits of food away, and then others are kind of bringing them to, if that makes sense. So we'll have that little critter can be sort of going towards it. This one can be trying to get at the cola, and then this guy can be holding, I'm going to have him holding the watermelon, but maybe he's going to hold the, there we go. He's going to hold the little popsicle. These apart a little bit more. This is why I've always put it down first, work out where I want it. There we go. I need to put something in the sky, but I'll work that out in a sec. So I'm going to stick these down, get them all in their right little spots, and then we'll work on that sky. The watercolour background, I think that's worked really nicely. It's just nice to do something different other than always doing ink, because I love using my inks, but sometimes. Alright, that's all stuck, so I'm just going to add a couple of little highlights to these critters. I left that pen without its lid on for a while, put in the sky. Oh, I know. I'm going to get out one of my favourites. This is all the clouds. I'm just going to stamp out a couple of these and just colour them in really, really quick. I'll actually do it off camera and I'll come back and finish it off. Just to add in a couple of bits in the sky. And I'm also going to just grabbing Happy Village because I want to use some of these birds. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp these out and colour them, and I'll be right back. Alright, all coloured in, all ready to go. I added in some trees. These are from Happy Village, just because I thought we could do with something sort of on tree level. I did 3, I might not need 3, I might only need 2. Okay, so we'll put sun over there. A couple of clouds. I might actually put the clouds up on some foam tape, just something, so just a little bit more dimension. In there, behind the little mousey, another one there, And I don't mind if that sits off a little bit. I actually think that looks kind of cool. Okay, so we'll put 2 clouds up on some foam tape. Good thing is you won't need very much. 2 little bits of foam tape. I think that green adds a little bit something too, because it's another shade of green. So now you've sort of got 3. 1, it's a bit lower, have the sun sit flat. Really love this sunshine. It's just the most gorgeous little sun. And we'll just stick in these trees. Oops. I actually just have it a little bit closer to the little mouse, so a little bit off center, just because it felt really centered then, and it doesn't need to be. That's it, just a little bit behind the mouse. And the last one. I really love that sky. The sky is probably my favorite thing. I think that's come out really nicely. Have the little tree sitting off. All right, a couple highlights. I used 2 different shades of. I used the yellow and the orange to get the sun, the outside of the sun, because it was just too orange otherwise. And so I'm just going to put a couple of little birds in the sky, and then we are done. Where's my stamp block? Now I don't think I used the right ink. I think Memento was probably not the right choice. It has worked. There's just a little bit of blur, a little bit of running, not a lot. There we go. I like that. I think that looks really cute. Definitely summery. Definitely the kind of thing I think of when I think of a summertime scene. And I really love the watercolors. I think the watercolors worked out really nicely. But let me know what you think. Leave it down below, or you can find me on any of my socials. Should I have done something different? Do you like the watercolor markers? I think these are really good. Like, the color payoff is fantastic. They're easy to blend. They're easier to combine to get different shades. So I reckon I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, probably 5 different shades of brown in this card. And that's all from just the one marker. Where is the brown? It's here somewhere. Like, it's all from that. That's grey. Anyway, you get the point. It's all from that one marker. We just added in a little bit of yellow or a little bit of red or a little bit of pink just to kind of get the color we wanted. And it worked out really nicely. I think a bit more practice though to get the blending really, really well. I think I need to do a little bit more with the shading. I don't think that's quite where I need it to be, but we're getting closer. So thank you so much for watching this video. I know it was a slightly longer one. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any future videos from me. I am going to try and catch up with the Memorydexweekly challenge, so if there's one that you've seen, and I'll link them down below. I know I've been a bit slack on that. I'll link the challenge down below. If there's one that I've missed that you'd want to see, let me know and I can make sure I do that. Don't forget that my live is this Wednesday night at 8 PM Australian Eastern Standard Time. I'm not sure what we're going to be doing yet, but I'm sure it'll be fun. Anytime I get to hang out with you guys is a lot of fun, so I'd love to see you. Hope you have a great week, and I'll catch you in my next video. Sending lots of huggles. Bye!